Hello. We are going to talk about the 7 signs that your husband really feels remorse after his betrayal. One of the hardest questions betrayed women ask of me is this: how will I know that he is truly remorseful? Not sorry that he got caught, not sorry that there are consequences, not sorry that he's uncomfortable. Because after betrayal, trust is broken. And when trust is broken, words alone are no longer enough. Many women tell me, he says he's sorry. He says he loves me. He says he'll never do it again. But then those same women quietly ask, how do I know if it's real? How do I know if he's telling me the truth? And today I want to give you some answers or help you to answer that question, because real remorse leaves evidence. There's are signs that you can look for. Welcome to Restored Heart Coaching. My name is Karen, and I'm a Christ-centered betrayal trauma coach. And I've been doing this for more than 25 years, walking alongside women who are broken through no fault of their own. They're broken because of infidelity. Maybe it's a pornography addiction or a sexual betrayal or relational trauma. So one thing I've learned is this: remorse and regret are not the same. A man can regret consequences without being truly remorseful. He can regret losing your trust, losing his comfort, losing his reputation. He can regret losing his marriage, or even fear losing his marriage. But remorse actually goes much deeper. Remorse cares about the pain that he inflicted on another person. So let's talk about what this actually looks like. I remember this woman long ago telling me, and this story isn't unusual. I've heard many different forms of it in my years of working with hundreds, maybe thousands, probably thousands of women. For months after I discovered the affair, he kept telling me he was sorry, but every conversation became about him. It was about his shame, his guilt, his fear. It was really about his discomfort. And one day she said, I realized he was devastated about what happened to him, but he wasn't devastated about what happened to me. And that insight changed everything, because remorse shifts the focus outward. And that's where we begin. Your first sign will be that he takes full responsibility for his actions. He takes responsibility for what he did. He stops blaming or shifting the blame. He stops explaining away his behavior. You don't need more explanations. You need a husband who is truly committed. He stops saying, well, if you had fill in the blank, or if our marriage had fill in the blank, If I hadn't been so stressed with work or home responsibilities, whatever the case may be, or if you had paid more attention to me or paid more attention to fill in the blank. Rather, real remorse sounds like this. I chose this. I chose to follow through with this. I hurt you. I own what I did. No minimizing, no excuses, no blame shifting, no Darvo, no gaslighting. And we'll talk about that in another video. A remorseful husband understands that circumstances may explain behavior, but they don't excuse the behavior. He did what he did. Nobody made him. Nobody chose beyond him to drive to that bar, to talk to that woman, to buy her a drink. You don't have that much power. So another sign would be he allows you to hold your pain. He allows you to be in pain without being defensive. And that would be one of the strongest indicators of remorse. And that is his ability to sit with you in your pain. It's very difficult because your grief reminds him of what he did. Now, don't use that grief to try to control him, but allow the grief to come. And remorse chooses empathy over self-protection. A remorseful husband doesn't say, "Are we still talking about this? How long are you going to punish me?" Or, love this one, "You need to move on." That hurts. Rather, he says, "I understand why you are hurting." He says, "Tell me more." He sits with your pain. He says, "I'm listening." And he truly does. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't try to explain or, again, shift the blame. Remorse creates space for pain. Defensiveness shuts it down. So another sign, sign number 3, might be he pursues recovery without being forced. He finds the certified sex addiction therapist. He finds the group that he's going to, and he shows up. This one's actually very huge. I hear over and over again many women being exhausted trying to drag their husband into recovery. They find a marriage counselor and they go to marriage counseling, but the counselor can't truly get to, or chooses not to truly get to, what's really going on. The husband presents it as a communication problem or a too much stress, and a good counselor is going to push into that a little bit. It's rarely about communication. It's rarely, let me back up. It's rarely about the stress. It's rarely about the family demands. It's a communication problem, but where is that communication going? Are they talking about the stresses that he's dealing with at work, at home, um, church? And are they talking about how he is dealing with those stresses? So that's really key. Um, it's not your job as the betrayed partner to find a counselor for your husband. And again, I am using husband as the betrayer and a wife as the betrayed partner. I deal with a lot of women who aren't married. They're struggling with their um, boyfriend or fiance. And I also um, have a handful of male clients who are the betrayed partner. Uh, so I use the wife as the betrayed partner because that is the bulk of my work. So now I forgot where I was. Real remorse creates self-motivation. You will see your husband reading books and talking about them. Some groups, they will come home and they'll say that they can't talk about what went on in the group. Fine. Uh, that's okay. But you can talk about how what you are hearing and what you are reading and learning affects you as a betrayer. He should, could, he could be sharing information that helps you to feel more secure and doesn't talk about other men in the program. You want to see him attending meetings and being faithful to that attendance, showing up on time, doing the work. It's oftentimes men need several groups a week. They might need to be going to 4 groups a week plus counseling. And maybe they need 7 groups every week and counseling. That's a bigger question and depends on how long this has been going on, what childhood impacts he has, and how motivated he is to work through his issues. You will find him searching for accountability partners. It might be a mentor or a sponsor, at least somebody that he is calling on a daily basis, at least one person he is calling on a daily basis and checking in. And it's not just a check-in to shoot the breeze. It's a, how are you managing your addiction today? And maybe your husband is not dealing with an addiction, but this was a one-time affair. We still want to go back to he wants to go back and find out what motivated him to pursue this other woman or whatever's going on. And again, I mentioned this, you want to see him seeking counseling and not just a counselor, someone who is trained in unwanted sexual behaviors. you want to see him learning about betrayal trauma. What effect does his behavior have on you? And not because you want to see him doing all of these things, not because you are demanding it. You want to see him doing each of these things because he has a desire to change. One woman told me for the first time forever, it was not me pulling him uphill. He was pushing the wagon on his own. And that is often what genuine remorse looks like. Sign number 4 is you will see him becoming more transparent. Sex addiction thrives in secrecy. Secrecy created the injury, and transparency helps to create safety. And a husband who is remorseful understands this. Instead of guarding the information or keeping it to himself, he is offering it to you. Instead of protecting his privacy, he is prioritizing trust. So transparency might include giving you phone access. And if you can look at his phone and not be triggered, not be activated, then go ahead and do that. Same thing with device accountability. You want to see that he has somebody who is accountable to him regarding his devices, his laptop, his iPad, his whatever, Surface, whatever it is. And it probably isn't you, at least at first. So you want to see him be open about finances. Typically, when a husband has had an affair, he has had either a secret credit card or account, or at least he knows you won't look at the finances. So that's probably one of the first steps you want to have happen. And I deal a lot in financial betrayal. So if that's something that you are dealing with, let me know and we can work through that. You want to see him scheduling transparency, not only with his accountability partners or mentors or marriage counselors. You want to see him schedule transparency with you. And one of the ways that you can do that is through a formal check-in, a check-in that is structured. And if you need, I'll link one of those, actually 3 of those that I use in my practice. I'll link them down below. And you want to see proactive honesty. Notice the word proactive. You shouldn't have to become a detective forever. Yes, initially you need to know what's going on. If he's not telling you and he's not in recovery, yes, you can do some checking up on some detective work. Just don't allow that to become a focus. And understand that a remorseful husband understands that rebuilding trust requires openness. So you'll see him become more open and transparent with you. That was number 4. So sign number 5 would be he shows consistency over time. Anyone can perform for a few weeks. I've even seen it a few months. But remorse is measured over many months and many years. And that consistency is what you're looking for. You don't want those grand gestures. No, you don't want the emotional speeches, or you need to see consistency. So when a remorseful husband is showing up, he'll show up when you're triggered, and he'll hold your words and hold your pain. He'll show up when recovery gets hard and when progress feels slow. And sometimes it feels oh so slow, especially for women. He'll show up even though there's no applause. Character is revealed through his consistency, not his intensity. So, a sign number 6 would be he truly wants to understand your experience. And this is probably one of my favorite indicators. He becomes curious about your pain. He asks, "What was Discovery Day like for you? Would you share your triggers with me? How can I help you to feel safe?" And maybe what has this been like from your perspective? Notice what he is doing. He's moving out of self focus, he's moving into empathy. And empathy is one of the strongest indicators of relational healing. Empathy is one of the things that I latch on to very quickly in my coaching of couples. And we want to build that empathy between each other. Sign number 7 would be that he accepts that trust has to be earned. So, probably one of the clearest signs of remorse is his patience. A remorseful husband will understand that trust is not owed, trust is actually rebuilt. Trust doesn't demand forgiveness, it doesn't pressure reconciliation, it doesn't rush healing. A remorseful husband understands that trust returns through repeated experiences of safety, one day at a time, one conversation at a time, one honest choice at a time. So, I have just an important caution for you. It's a gentle caution. Seeing some of these signs doesn't automatically mean that his healing is complete. It doesn't mean that the marriage is safe again. And even seeing all 7 doesn't automatically, or not seeing all 7 doesn't automatically mean that healing is complete, or healing is, and not seeing all 7 immediately does not automatically mean that recovery is impossible. What you're looking for is trajectory. You're looking for direction, growth. You're looking for consistency because patterns matter more than promises. His words don't matter early in recovery. You need to see action. So, if you're watching this and you're wondering whether your husband is truly remorseful, remember this. You don't have to decide everything today. Just observe, gather information, watch for patterns, and you can trust yourself again. It's healing is not becoming naive again. It's about becoming wise. So, if you are struggling to discern what is healthy remorse, what is manipulation, and what genuine recovery looks like, I would love to help you. I offer betrayal trauma coaching for women, men, and couples who are navigating the aftermath of infidelity or pornography addiction, um, or any intimate betrayal. And together we will, together you will gain clarity, you'll strengthen your boundaries, you'll regulate your nervous system, and you can move toward healing. So, if you would like to schedule a complimentary consultation, visit restoredheartcoaching.com. And if this video helped you, was educational, um, please subscribe to Restored Heart Coaching so that more women can find hope, wisdom, and healing after betrayal. You are not alone, and healing is possible.